Do we have different Bibles? No, we do not. The question often arises because of the sheer number of versions on the market, but there are three fundamental reasons why all reputable translations are ultimately the same book. First, the singular source text. All modern Bibles are translated from a single, unified set of original language texts. The Old Testament relies on the Hebrew Masoretic text, while the New Testament is translated from the Greek New Testament. While scholars occasionally discuss minor differences between textual traditions, these critical texts are based on thousands of ancient manuscripts that are astonishingly consistent. The differences are typically minor issues of spelling or grammar, accounting for less than 1% of the text. Crucially, no major doctrine or story is altered by these variations. Every translation you pick up is drawing from the exact same pool of original text. Second, manuscript reliability and quantity. The number of surviving biblical manuscripts is unparalleled in ancient literature. We possess over 25,000 copies and fragments, some dating back remarkably close to the original writing. For comparison, most classical texts, like the works of Plato or Aristotle, rely on only a handful of copies separated from the original by 1,000 years or more. This vast number of biblical witnesses allows scholars to cross-reference and verify the text with unprecedented accuracy. Our textual foundation is so strong that we can say with confidence that the original text has been preserved, making the foundation of every single Bible version identical. Third, translation philosophy unity. The biggest difference between versions lies in their translation philosophy, not their content. This boils down to a choice between word for word, or formal equivalence, and thought for thought, or dynamic equivalence. A formal translation like the New American Standard aims to keep the English phrasing as close to the original language structure as possible, sometimes leading to awkward readability. A dynamic translation like the New Living Translation aims to convey the original meaning and impact in modern, natural English. For example, a formal translation might render an ancient Hebrew idiom literally, while a dynamic translation will use a common English saying that communicates the exact same intended message. Regardless of this stylistic preference, the core historical events, the theological narrative, and the moral principles remain entirely consistent across all reputable versions. Therefore, despite the thousands of available versions on the shelf, all of these translations rely on the same rock-solid textual foundation and convey the same fundamental message. We are reading the same single Bible. We've established that the consistency of the original source texts, the abundance of manuscripts, and the unity of the theological message all confirm that there is only one Bible. But this leaves a critical fourth question: how did we decide which books belonged in the Bible in the first place? This is the issue of canonization. The list of books, or the canon, also demonstrates remarkable unity. The Old Testament canon was essentially fixed centuries before the time of Jesus, established by Jewish tradition into the three sections of the Law, the Prophets, and the Writings, collectively known as the Tanakh. The New Testament books, however, were written and circulated over the first century. The early church did not invent the list at a single council, rather, they recognized the books that God had already inspired, using three core tests. First, apostolic origin * was the book written by an apostle or a close colleague of an apostle. Second, universal acceptance * was the book consistently read and used in Christian communities across the known world. By the 4th century, through centuries of consensus and guided by these strict criteria, the 27 books of the New Testament were universally recognized. The final point of confusion regarding the one Bible idea is the difference in book count across Christian traditions. Specifically, why do Catholic and Orthodox Bibles contain more books than Protestant Bibles? This difference centers on the Apocrypha, also called the Deuterocanonical books, a collection of intertestamental writings. While these books were included in the Septuagint, the Greek translation of the Old Testament, they were generally not accepted by the Jewish tradition. The Protestant Reformation upheld the Jewish canon, resulting in 66 books. The Catholic and Orthodox traditions, relying on centuries of use, retain these extra books. Crucially, this debate only concerns the Old Testament portion. All major traditions agree on the 27 books of the New Testament, and more importantly, the core message and narrative arc remain universally consistent. This difference is one of accepted historical status, not fundamental theological truth.